Hey there, friends. This is Praying Medic. It is Saturday, March 24th, and this is my QAnon update for Q posts beginning March 21st and going up until today. I just checked the Q websites. There are no posts today. Actually, it's been a couple of days since Q posted. This is going to be a short update. I will pull together some related topics that have been kind of odds and ends that I'd like to bring together. Q is posting under a new trip code, for those of you who did not know that. And if you're interested in going to the latest Q post, I'm using qanon.pub. That does have posts under the new trip code. Cover that in just a minute. My theme for this update is enjoy the show. All right, after another bomb was detonated this last Tuesday in Austin, Texas, Q posted this, noting that the FBI had an open investigation. I'm just going to read this to you. The FBI opened a case on Q today regarding boom statements and now the Texas bombings. Coordinated to end comms here. Predictable. They're scared. 4 a.m. in brackets. They will fail. We know the details. Brackets. Wednesday. Q. So, kind of self-explanatory here. Someone asked the FBI to open a case on Q to find out if his boom statements from the last couple of weeks were related to the bombings in Texas. Q says they're not. I don't believe Q would be signaling to us something that they knew was going to happen in advance. If they could certainly stop it. So I don't believe that they're related. Q says that the investigation is a coordinated effort to end Q's communications, probably by the deep state. They are scared. Brackets 4 a.m. Q has told us in the past that the narrative goes out to the media in the morning at 4 a.m. They're going to fail. And he said, we know the details and we'll find out more on Wednesday. Now, this was posted on Tuesday, the 20th. And on Wednesday, the suspect killed himself. He detonated a package bomb as police closed in on him. So Q is right. We would know more about it on Wednesday. And Q then posted this, and it's a fairly extensive post. Just going to read it. MZRT, big meeting, cell phones left at the door, +8, 5 political, 1 former Intel director, mask and spin, IDEN friendly insiders, MSM support plus talking points, shift the narrative, fail, we hear you, we have the algorithm, thank you Snowden, learn chess, down she goes, nobody escapes this, nobody, Q. So let's decode this. Actually somewhat self-explanatory, but I would like to go into some of this. So in the past, RT has referred to real-time. If you remember back a few weeks ago, might have been a month ago, when there was a takedown of some people in Shanghai, Q was posting pictures and he posted RT, as in real-time. So there's some confusion. Does this mean that Rex Tillerson was with Zuckerberg? Is that the RT? I don't think so. It was only recently that RT was used for Rex Tillerson, and that was just when he was being replaced as Secretary of State. Most of the time it does not refer to Rex. He doesn't seem to fit the context here. However, it doesn't mean that it means real time. Could be something else. This is an interesting possibility here. Resivi Traverse is an Italian investment company. They provide capital for hot brands. They actually have provided capital for Twitter and Square, as well as SpaceX and Playboy. So is the RT, Q is referring to this company, and did Zuckerberg meet with them to discuss the narrative spinning and getting together with politicians? I don't know. I'm not sure what the RT is exactly. IDEN could be, let me go back here to the Q post. So big meeting, cell phones left at the door, 8 people that are involved, 5 of them are political, I'm guessing Pelosi, Schumer, people of that nature, 1 former Intel director. Could be Clapper, could be Brennan, someone of that nature. Their goal was to mask the truth and spin a narrative. Is this saying IDEN? Is it identify the friendly insiders, or is it actually IDEN as in this network, which is Motorola's integrated digital enhanced network? I don't think this is the correct decode, actually. I think it's something else, but it's really all I could come up with as far as those acronyms go. Q said they obtained from Snowden the algorithm. It's used by social media platforms to spin and control narratives. And an Anon suggested it might work a little bit like this. And I'm going to click on this and let me zoom in so you might be able to see at least a little bit of it. I'll read it. Programmer Anon here. Since Q says they have the algorithm, I just want to try and help out a little and give some insight into how this works, structurally and psychologically. To help understand Twitter and Facebook algorithms, you need to view it sort of like a video game. The controller input is going to be your words, your views, and your shared links. If you say the right words, i.e. concentrated strings, appended varchars, sentence structure, probably mined from real accounts. Share the right links, pre-approved sites, pre-approved authors. Have the right views, and your account is given points. That is the value of the post. The more value your account has, plus the value of your post, the higher chance you have of being seen on the social media platform. Higher chance of your post being seen by new followers, higher chance of it being seen by current followers, and when your post is seen, people react, you get comments, you get shares, and you feel popular. So popularity is an instinctual desire in most of us. It releases dopamine in the brain, you get kind of a rush. You post again, but this time you're sharing an unapproved link or not using the right words. So nobody responds because the algorithm downgrades your post. No one likes it, no one shares it. It adds negative points to your post value. So you want to get that dopamine rush again. So intuitively, this guy says, humans have a knack for pattern recognition. Your next post is going to be more like the first one, right words, right links, to get that sharing and liking thing going again. Subconsciously, you're trying to post more like the way you did when everybody liked it. The algorithm gives you points each time you do, and the Anon says, congratulations, level 1 complete. You've just been programmed. And that is kind of how social media does work. For most people, they want to be liked, they want to be shared, they want to be recognized, and they want people to comment. So in a sense, these algorithms do sort of train you to think a certain way and to act a certain way. All right, let me zoom back out here and move on to the next one. This is a very good post on social media and how artificial intelligence and social media used together can be used to control how we think. A lot of people think of the evils of social media in terms of losing our privacy, but there's a much bigger concern, and that is that social media platforms are actually being used as a psychological vector to change and influence the way in which we think, to change our opinions. So if you're interested, you can come to my thread and check out that. It's about this is a thread that's probably 14 or 15 tweets. Very insightful. Q says that the days of artificially controlled public discussions are over. Regulation is coming. He has told us that in the past. The CEOs know it. It's why they're selling their stock like crazy. If you've noticed, a lot of insiders in Facebook have been dumping their stock. And in the wake of Facebook's data mining scandal this last week, Sheryl Sandberg, who's the chief operating officer, said they are going to welcome regulation if necessary because they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Zuckerberg just put an article out, I think either today or yesterday, echoing the same thing, that they are now open to regulation. Because, look, the algorithms that they're using to control and spin public narrative, the people in Trump's administration are onto it. So, like Q said, regulation is coming. Q posted this image and a link to a Comedy Central skit, which was a spoof of the Q phenomenon. Why are they mocking Q and his followers like us? That is because they cannot shut us down. I am not going to include this video in my video because I don't want to take a chance on getting a copyright strike on my channel. So if you're interested, you can go there and watch it. It's not hard to find. Q says, enjoy the show, expect a lot more. They're in panic mode. This is a link to it. You can just go to Comedy Central. It's the opposition with Jordan Klepper, March 20th. And I have to tell you, watch this video. It's not very funny. It's kind of sad. The Q spoof begins at the 11-minute mark. And yes, yours truly made it into the video. They said, 5 million tweets have used the hashtag QAnon on Twitter since this all began. And they featured Sean Hannity. Even Sean Hannity is out there tweeting about QAnon. And of course, that was when Hannity retweeted my tweet about Assange. So, like Q said, enjoy the show. They're panicking. They're freaking out. Here is more evidence of it. CNN's president, Jeff Zucker, just lashed out at Fox News, calling them state-run TV because they post pro-Trump news. So yeah, the fake news is pretty upset. But you know what? We're just going to deal with it. Fake news is going down. Trump is winning. And that is just how it's going to be. Wanted to share this. This is from March 10th. So after Gary Cohn left the Trump administration, Q warned us that more changes were coming, didn't he? Right? So the Anon said, hey, I'm so glad Cohn is out. I never liked or trusted him. Q said more coming. Right? Well, McMaster is out. Trump lost his lead attorney, but Joe DeGeneva is taking over. There are a lot of changes. John Bolton is now on board, and we'll cover that in just a minute. But Q has told us that the Trump administration version 2 is coming, so just sit tight because there's going to be a lot of changes. On the morning of March 23rd, Q logged in and said there's going to be a trip code update. He posted under his old trip code. That's this one. And this is the new trip code. And it has been updated. Let me go real quick to the Q map. This is the QAnon.pub site, and you can see that the trip code updates are here, and this is the most recent Q post, I should say. It has the new trip code on it. So just look for the legit trip code, and there are a lot of fake Q posts out there floating around now on social media. I would just advise, go to trusted sites and don't fall for fake Q posts. Q then posted this. This was the same morning that the president signed that disgusting, terrible, horrible, icky spending bill that everyone is losing their minds about. So it just says clock activated, red castle, green castle, stage 5:5, brackets Y, Q. All right. That is the last post by Q. And I am going to take a swing at this. Just let me say this real quick before I go too far. I think that Trump signed the spending bill because it fully funds the military. It actually increases military spending and gives the military a raise. Q and the president have repeatedly told us that funding the military right now is a top priority. They cannot afford to not fund the military. They can't afford sequestration. They've got to keep the military funded. So I think Congress knew that. They knew that if they gave Trump what he wanted in the military, they could put all the rest of their pork in, and then Trump would have to sign it. So it was a trade-off. That's just how politics are. A lot of people are unhappy about it. But Trump, I think, got what he needed out of the budget, or he wouldn't have signed it. Now, going back to Red Castle, Green Castle, it's just, I'm going to guess at what I think the interpretation of is here. Notice this red castle down here. This is the symbol for the Army Corps of Engineers, red and white. Is Trump planning to build the border wall using Defense Department money and the Army Corps of Engineers? Did a little research on this. Actually, the Army Corps of Engineers has been working on the border wall project since July of 2017. They've been doing soil samples and some other testing, just preliminary work. And I don't know, is it possible that the border wall could be funded? I mean, Homeland Security is technically part of, I think they come under the umbrella of Defense Department. They do have their own budget. But would Trump use the Army Corps of Engineers to build the wall? Who knows? Here's another thing to think about. Here's Greencastle. There is a Corps of Engineers office located in Greencastle, Indiana. Is that the decode for Red Castle, Green Castle? I don't know. It could be. Q has not confirmed any, he hasn't actually been communicating with any of the nons because this last post was not on the normal channel. I wanted to bring this up too. Just in my search, I found this article. A couple, the mother of a 3-year-old child and her boyfriend, were charged with third-degree homicide in the death of the daughter who died of a drug overdose. And they're from Greencastle, Pennsylvania. And this story came out the night before Q posted. Is that what Q is talking about with Greencastle? Because, you know, the president and vice president have been giving a lot of speeches lately about combating drug-related deaths. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the Red Castle, Green Castle is. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. President says he doesn't know either. So, interesting. This Greencastle, Indiana issue happens to be where Vice President Mike Pence is from. He was the governor of Indiana. Coincidence? So much to think about. And now some odds and ends I want to put together here. This is a good thread by Jerry Boykin, if you're interested in it. He's a lieutenant general, retired. He was, I think, Undersecretary of Defense in a Bush administration, Bush 43. And he has a lot of good reasons why he thinks that putting Bolton in as a national security advisor is a good move in getting rid of McMaster. If you're interested, you can check out that thread. If you're interested in knowing more about advancements in behavioral technology or mind control, this is a really good article from Zero Hedge. You can just search for this, The Digital Military Industrial Complex Exposed. Don't read it before bedtime because it's pretty freaky. You might have bad dreams about it. And consider that the president spoke more about the military than anything else during his speech on the budget. Secretary Mattis was there. He made a speech. I read the speech from Pence and from Trump, and they talked a lot about the military. So I think that there is a strategic reason why the president signed this terrible spending bill. They just needed to get the military. And while we're thinking about this, waiting for Q to post again, we might want to think about why the Marines were activated. Where are they going? What operation is underway? And what are the booms all about? Marines were activated. Something's going on. Yeah, bring the rain. Enjoy the show. What does bring the rain mean? What are they doing? What do they have planned that we don't know about? We might want to think about that. This is another odds and ends piece. National security team has been fingered as leaking information to the press. That is one of the reasons why McMaster is gone, because McMaster was not able to stop the leaks, and he may have been part of the leaking. So my understanding is that John Bolton was put in to stop the leaks. And interestingly enough, Bolton is reportedly set to fire dozens of White House officials who may be leaking or are disloyal to the president. It sounds like Bolton is going to come in and clean house when he gets in there, which is probably a good thing because the leaks inside the White House have been very problematic. So a lot of change coming. Q has been telling us to keep an eye on North Korea. And this is an article that talks about how South Korea has offered to host preliminary talks between North Korea and South Korea on March 29th. That's coming up in 5 days. So this was South Korea offering, and this article was published on the 21st. Last night, as I was scrolling, Yonhap News Agency came across this. North Korea, they're reporting, has agreed to high-level inter-Korean talks on March 29th. At the time I posted this, there wasn't any more information. It was literally just a headline, and there was no other information. I haven't checked it lately, but that's all you get. North Korea agrees to high-level inter-Korean talks on March 29th, says the ministry. So hopefully we're going to get those diplomatic talks going between the president and North Korea. A couple of last things before I wrap this up. A friend has been having dreams about Q, and she's been sending them to me. This is her most recent one, and this was last night, I think, or the night before. Had another short Q dream this morning. I wish I remembered more details. In the dream, I was somewhere in public, at a store possibly, and seeing Q apparel as if Q was becoming more common knowledge and popular. That is all very short, but I thought I would still share it. KB. And I had a dream last night that I should probably just tell you about. I know some of you don't care about my dreams, but some of you do. So last night I had this dream, and it was very interesting. I was with the president in a large room, and to me it almost seemed like a private vault or maybe a secret museum. And the reason I say a museum is there were a lot of almost like displays that were all throughout this place. I was walking with the president, and this third person was there with us. I saw a lot of historical facts and events and people. Some of them were portrayed as images or paintings. And the president would stop at one, and he would tell me all about it. He'd give me all this information, the public story about what happened in that event, and then the private story, or the backstory that nobody knew about. So the stuff that he was telling me was not common knowledge. It was all private stuff. He went from one event or fact or person to another one, to another one, to another one. I saw dozens of them. And he was explaining the significance of each one, why it was important, what people needed to know about. Some of the events and the people that I saw were familiar, some were not. Some of them were from the past, but I knew that some of them were from the future. And the third person who was there, I knew them, but I do not think I'm supposed to say who that person was. Not at this point anyway. I may talk about that in the future, but right now I don't want to discuss that. So I believe that the Q phenomenon is going to continue growing. I believe we're going to see more and more revelation coming out, more secrets coming out that are going to blow people's minds. I think we're going to see some big things later on next week. And for your information, I got one more thing, a couple of more things I posted this morning. Google has just announced that it's going to spend $300 million over the next 3 years in an effort to prop up what they call real news and fight fake news. So they are going to do whatever they can to help prop up the fake news industrial complex, make sure that CNN gets a fair shake, and New York Times and WAPO, that they, don't get, put in mothballs. And they're going to try to make sure that independent journalists and reporters and average people don't have an ability to influence public opinion with our fake news. we'll see how that goes. My money is not on Google. And concerning the budget, this is the last thing. The president sent a letter to Congress to Speaker Ryan and I believe Mitch McConnell regarding the spending bill. And I'm just going to read this for you. Click on it. Dear Mr. Speaker and Mr. President of the Senate, in accordance with Section 8058 D of Division K of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018, House Resolution 1625, the Act, I hereby designate as an emergency requirement all funding so designated by the Congress in the Act pursuant to Section 251B2A of the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act, Emergency Deficit Control Act of 1985, for the accounts referenced in Section 8058D. The details of this action are set forth in the enclosed memorandum from the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Sincerely, Donald Trump. I have not been able to find the enclosed memorandum that went to Mick Mulvaney over at Office of Budget Management. I don't know what this means. I'm not certain how it is relevant. I'm just going to answer this question because I know people are going to be asking. There is I don't want to call it a meme, but it is a long text. It's a post that someone put together that supposedly says that the omnibus spending bill is not the same as a budget, and that the rules regarding the president and the spending is different for an omnibus spending bill than it is for a budget. And furthermore, this person says that all the power that an omnibus spending bill has is only suggestions, that the president can ignore suggestions, he can spend or not spend that money any way he wants. So that information is out there. I've been tagged in it a million times. People have sent it to me by email. Whenever something like that comes out, people always send it to me. I've read it. I have done a little bit of research on my own. I have not been able to verify that information, so I am not reporting that as fact. I am reporting that as urban legend right now. I do not want to give people false hopes and say something that is not true. If I can't prove it, if I don't know that it's factual, I don't want to spread that kind of information. So at this point, the idea that the omnibus spending bill is not the same as a budget, I am playing Switzerland on that. I'm not taking a side on it. I don't know what the truth is. I suspect that the president will do what he can to make the best of this bill. It is only going to go through September, and then more than likely we're just going to have some more continuing resolutions until the elections, because I don't think those who are running for re-election want to run on another bill like this. So we'll probably see continuing resolutions until after the midterm elections. We'll see what happens. That is all I have for you today. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for tuning in. If you like my channel, you could subscribe to it. And those of you who are supporting me financially, I want to let you know I really appreciate your support. For those of you who are praying for me and the president and Q, keep praying. We all need your prayer. Love you all. Take care. I will catch you on the next broadcast.